I would put music and some audio cues in this intro, but I don't have any. Sorry. The following top 10 likely contains spoilers of varying degrees for certain anime that you may or may not have seen. If you've not seen all of the shows listed, I'll try to keep spoilers down as much as I can, but in cases like the first entry on this list, I have to do so in order to express my thoughts on particular openings. You have been warned. As far as I'm concerned, any opening to any anime can go in either two ways. It's so good that it's one of the best parts of an anime, or it's so cliched that you can easily forget about it and skip it each time you start a new episode. After all, if you've seen the opening once and it didn't do anything for you, why see it over and over again? Yet, no matter how many openings fail to impress me, with the exceptions of the embarrassments that are the openings to Gundo Musashi and Skelter Heaven, I've yet to encounter one that I consider to be bad, in the sense that they're badly made or offensive by my own standards. A generic opening's just that, generic and nothing more. So generic that you can make a supercut of different openings with generic imagery, even if the anime itself just so happens to be one of your favorites. You see, openings aren't just about music and images, they can either better substantiate your first impressions or do nothing at all, to convey something or to be a compilation of imagery that mean nothing. The most ideal openings, for me, are the ones that convey some kind of thought or incite some kind of emotion or show you what the anime is about without ever so much as telling you, and that's what this video is about. These are the top 10 anime openings that are a part of the experience rather than just the sequence that plays at the beginning of an episode. The openings that resonate with me, or in the case of number 10, subvert my expectations. Yeah, if you've been a follower of my content, you've already guessed that this would be on the top 10. I bet you even saw the title and went, oh, Hollow's gonna put Madoka on there. But I bet you didn't expect it to simply be at number 10. Don't get me wrong, Puella Magi Madoka Magica's opening is a redirection king. This bright, cheerful, and bubbly color palette, directing, and imagery is total bullshit! Seriously, this opening is lies. Pure lies. Lies of the third degree, and it is amazing! Madoka is this dark coming-of-age magical girls show that's one protracted metaphor about spoiled and idealistic teenage girls finding out that their seemingly perfect world is cruel and flawed and have to rise above it or succumb to despair. This is not a silly show by any means, so on one hand, this gives the opening some comedic irony, but while this opening possesses that quality, there is another one to consider, and it's the contrast between what the opening might represent and what the credits might represent. Considering the themes of Madoka Magica, one could very well interpret it as a representation of Madoka's worldview at the beginning, her bubble crammed into one opening montage of wackiness, energy, and this Clarice theme song that's so sugary it gives you diabetes, while the credits contrasts it. The credits sees Madoka progressing through what the world truly is, a dark environment of ambiguity as she moves toward a light. Madoka being stripped, as if her idealism is being stripped the more she progresses, increasing her speed to what looks like hope. The other characters pass as she continues, Hamura reaching out a hand as if not wanting her to know the truth, to remain foolish like she's always been. Eventually, Madoka's stripped of her idealism and hope as the light dims as she sprints, the hope revealing itself to be despair. But instead of stopping, she goes towards the darkness as it blurs and reaches the conclusion as she floats in a fetal position in a void that has overwhelmed her, the opposite of what the opening wanted to convey. If the opening is Madoka's idealism, the credits are her progression towards the truth, and if you see it like this, the former starts looking like a natural fit instead of this ironic compilation of imagery that belongs to a different anime, but that's how I read it. Either way, Puella Magi Madoka Magica's opening is a lie. A big lie. But man, it's one of the best lies in anime. I don't have the tendency to watch anime longer than 26 episodes, and my list proves that. To date, the only shows I finished beyond that limit are both Fullmetal Alchemist and all 220 episodes of Naruto because, yeah, I used to be a Narutard. Sure, Fullmetal Alchemist 2003 is one of my all-time favorites, and I'm still sentimental about Naruto, but right in the middle, you'll find Space Brothers, a show that lasted 99 episodes and is actually a pretty good anime. No, really, I recommend Space Brothers. It's a really compelling drama about working toward dreams, with well-realized characters, a mostly grounded direction that feels human, and what looks to be authentic research and logic about being an astronaut. It was an engaging ride, and I wouldn't have been so on board with it going in if it weren't for the first opening. The first opening of Space Brothers is something that gives both a feeling of wonder and looks good, but has enough food for thought as to be meaningful. It all starts with the song Feel So Moon by Unicorn, a rock tune that instantly establishes the tone and is catchy in its own right. The guitars and vocals having this resonating effect that captures the scale of the subject matter, but also packs an uplifting effect that complements the wonder the opening is meant to provoke. Simply put, the song and the visuals go hand in hand, my favorite aspect being that the visuals make an effort to be in sync with the beats of the song. But what this truly strives to accomplish is to tell a message. The establishing scene is of a rocket blasting off towards the sky. The title, then our main character, Muta, finally appears in his office suit reflecting his initial occupation as a car designer, which is used to contrast with Hibito, who is introduced in his jumpsuit, already an astronaut. Both brothers dream to go to the moon, but one is obviously way ahead, reflecting the premise of an ordinary but smart man who strives to go towards his true passion of becoming an astronaut. This is where we get to the true heart of the opening, as we see two towers in an abstract cityscape and witness the launch of different rockets from what look like different parts of the world. From kids' drawings on a street, building blocks from the elderly, or the clay rocket made by children in a third world country, it communicates a powerful, universal message that no matter where we are, no matter the country, age, race, and gender, we all dream to go beyond the world that ties us down and fly towards the stars. A rocket ship is the key symbol for this. These two towers reveal to be rockets that are now flying upwards with the rest, representing the dreams of the two brothers flying among mankind. I even like this bit where the rockets fly by Muta and causes him to spin around, not only creating a comedic gag, but also to convey that he still has a lot of work to do. Yet, despite being at opposite spectrums, the brothers walk down the same road, the same dream, and it ends with them standing together with the others behind them, signaling the conclusion of the opening and to solidify that no matter where they are in life, they are still brothers with the same goal, and maybe, just maybe, Muta will achieve it. Humanity looks to the stars. Maybe we'll make it there someday. Baccano was that anime that I had always heard about, mostly in passing, but I was never recommended it. No one ever told me, hey, you should totally watch Baccano. So when I did get around to watching it years back, I had no idea what to actually expect. So to fire up the first episode and be immediately greeted by this opening, well, I can certainly say that it had already blew my expectations away. The opening to Baccano was unlike many openings I had been exposed to up to that point. Montages fueled by overproduced J-pop that don't convey anything truly impactful. Baccano, however, gives those openings the middle finger in a way I wish more shows would. Instead of ear rape, we get a full-on energetic jazz theme, which threw me off guard, but more to that, you can even see this as a little silent film with a coherent linear story. It's essentially a meet the characters sort of deal, going from each person one by one and get a taste of their personalities, beginning with the ever so entertaining Isaac and Miria, where it then transitions from character to character nearly seamlessly. Luck will pour some booze, and that's used as a transition to showcasing Slizzard and Ennis, the latter being cleverly reflected off the bottle as to not break the flow, and it keeps going until finally it all comes back full circle with Isaac and Miria again. From this blend of the era-appropriate musical choice, the director conducting that wisely chooses pace and rhythm, lively character-focused activity, to the near-seamless perspective switches, its goal is not only met, it makes for an opening that's easily one of the most unique. Unfortunately, most anime seem to have ignored what this has done in favor of continuing whatever it is anime openings usually do. 91 Days, my favorite currently airing anime, springs to mind as, despite being this serious mafia crime drama set during the Prohibition that pays homage to mafia films, you get to the opening and this is what you get. This is wrong. You're making a mafia crime drama anime set during the Prohibition era of America's history, and this is what you use? I wouldn't dislike it so much if the show wasn't so grounded in the period it's based on, nor do I like the song on its own. I think it drones too much, has too much going on, and is too modern to fit an opening for a serious crime drama set during the 1920s to 1930s, which is what Baccano avoided with aplomb simply by staying committed to authenticity of the period's music culture. With that, Baccano's opening is easily one of my favorites. What can I say? As much as I'm going on and on about some of this stuff, sometimes you just want an opening that strives to have a powerful sense of style and conviction and how bombastic it can be, and Black Lagoon's opening fits that bill. This is less an opening that's meant to say or introduce you to something and more like an opening that makes you feel something, which in this case, it pumps you the fuck up! From the overproduced grungy aesthetic, the energetic pace and how it moves, the stylish transitions, and of course, Revi herself, who despite having a limited presence, is no doubt the star of this entire thing. It even implements heavenly imagery with these feathers floating across bright light, only to juxtapose it with a bullet and shadow, no doubt with the intention of painting Revi as a trigger-happy angel of death who will kill you, guaranteed. But what totally sells it, the most important element, is the song Red Fraction by Mel. This grimy symphony that combines gritty electronic stylings, rock, and maybe a few drops of techno creates a J-pop song that doesn't sound like any J-pop song I typically think of. I'm not a fan of J-pop, but even I like this song. It's like the dude's rug. It ties the room together. Oh, and did I mention that it's entirely made of hardcore English?
Right on the fire, right on the power.
Because it's made of hardcore English that isn't afraid of saying shit. It's simultaneously one of the most anime openings out there, and one of the most unique ones too. This result doesn't always happen, but Black Lagoon sticks the landing. I get so pumped for all the action that's bound to come, or maybe some tragedy that goes toward places really dark, with a chance of genuinely compelling drama. Then the next episode comes, and I'm pumped all over again! Black Lagoon is a damn good anime, and I recommend it to those who haven't seen it already. Hot damn, I dig it! Yuri Kuma Arashi is one of the best love stories I've ever seen. An anime so good, it's on my top 10. An unsung masterpiece so great that when you go to my anime list and see its rating, you can't help but go, what the fuck, Mal? What the fuck, Mel? This still gets to me. I know the show isn't for everyone. It's directed by the Utena and Mawaru penguin drum guy, and it has the tendency to be weird and stuff, but if you look past it and view it for what it is, you come to realize that it's a story about individuality and forbidden love. An excellent one at that. So what better way to indicate that than this opening with this weird style going on, with the honey and the flowers and the color and the nudity and the bears. Because people hate bears and bears eat humans. Get it? The relationship between humans and bears is Yuri Kuma's symbolism for totalitarianism and individualism, and the people of this overly chaste society hate true love between humans and bears because it goes against the grain. Okay, I'll admit that it isn't exactly subtle. It's the opposite, in fact. It certainly emphasizes style, maybe to levels that border on self-indulgent, but it certainly conveys a slice of what you're going in for with Yuri Kuma Arashi. The song is amazing. It fits the theme. It's a love story after all. So Anomori Damateru by Bonjour Suzuki takes pride in how calm and soothing it can be, but isn't shy about adjusting its melody towards the majestic, resulting in an opening song with this consistent rhythm and sounds more magical than it does sugary. A song with highs and lows that is brilliantly managed.
私はここにいるから曖昧な未来であって何も怖くない
Yuri Kuma Arashi isn't exactly approachable in themes, visuals, and directing, but if there's one thing I hope we can agree on, it's that the opening is quite special and captures the spirit of the anime perfectly. What's there not to like about the Speed Racer opening aside from the dated animation?
Here comes Speed Racer, he's a demon on wheels.
It has probably one of the catchiest theme songs of all time. It's on the same league as the old Scooby-Doo theme. You might not like the show itself for how old and silly it is, but the theme song, it could have its way with me without lube all it likes.
Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go!
The Speed Racer theme continues to have an unshakable appeal. There's a certain authentic retro feel that's unmistakable and charming, though that could also be said about the show itself. It's not an entirely harmless opening, though. Speed Racer kills someone in this thing. No, really, he bumps him on the side, he flies, and boom! Dead. This opening is kinda morbid by the kids' cartoon standards of today, but in a way, isn't it kinda cool that Speed Racer kills a dude in the opening of this kids' cartoon? It has balls! And hey, he kills people in the actual show, so it's not like it's false advertisement. But as much as I love the opening to Speed Racer, there is one caveat to this. That's the English localized Speed Racer, and it's not why it's on the list. No, you see, Speed Racer was originally called Mach Go Go Go, and instead of being named Speed Racer, he's Go Mifune. Though for the sake of convenience, I'll continue calling him Speed Racer, and instead of the theme song being this catchy, infectious jingle, what we get is...
Mach, go! 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 Guns and more!
Yup! We get a full-on orchestral treatment for this thing, and it is epic! The Japanese theme song is as powerful as those quaaludes Leonardo DiCaprio took in The Wolf of Wall Street, and for the record, this guy still gets blown up with no fucks given. But what sells it further isn't what was there in the English opening. It's actually what was left out. Holy potatoes! Speed Racer's racing among the goddamn animals! Wowie zowie! Oh shit! Motherfucking elephants are blocking the way! But Speed don't give a fuck! And he jumps over them! See this face? He jumped over goddamn elephants and loved it! Uh-oh, Speed Racer's being shot by asshole assassins! But wait! He comes across a cavern with this archway of old bones! And he drives past them and they fall over and those asshole assassins get fucked! What a boss! What a freaking boss! See that? His expression is essentially saying, "Don't fuck with me." Oh, wow. Okay, overall, which opening you prefer depends on preference. If you want something catchy and iconic, the English opening is for you. But if you want the full package in all its glory and badassness, the Japanese opening all the fucking way. You don't fuck with Speed Racer and the Mach 5. That son of a bitch will karate chop your ass like a real professional race car driver. If Black Lagoon's opening is meant to pump you up and Yuri Kuma's opening is meant to soothe you, Kobato's opening, well, it's fun. Yeah, there really isn't any underlying subtext that might be deep or something, or clever use of imagery. It really is what it says on the tin. You have Kobato, she's dumb, comedy ensues, the colors are bright and uplifting, but there's now a sense of uncertainty, maybe even doubt that she'll accomplish her goals and gain the wish she's striving towards. But here comes the sun, and suddenly she runs! She runs past the trees with a smile on her face, having a renewed will to confront the future with confidence before arriving at her destination, greeted by her friends and acquaintances for yet another day of supporting the nursery school. Yeah, I know I described the opening verbatim, but that's kind of the point. It's not supposed to be complicated. It tells you everything you need to know when you begin Kobato. You know the main character's a cheerful sort, she's not bright, Yoriogi's a bit of a meanie. She obviously has a goal that's uncertain, but that doesn't stop her from being optimistic about the future. The song used is called Magic Number, and hearing it alone is enough to clue you in to the tone not only for the opening, but the anime itself, as well as being a pretty damn good song that's fun to listen to.
1, 2, 3の合図で両手広げて全身に光を
And That's the key word to describe this one. Fun! Kobato's opening is pure fun. It's an opening you can watch over and over again and not get tired of so easily. Yeah, not much to say about this one, but considering the nature of the show itself, this is precisely the opening it needs. A fun opening that is fun, fun, fun! Which is the opposite of number 3. When I had finally opened my eyes to the potential of anime, nothing could prepare me for something like Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. Okay, that's half true. I saw clips of it before watching it, but the point remains. I hadn't experienced anything like it back then, and even now, barely any other mystery anime has come around to take its crown, and the opening is one of those reasons. This opening perfectly encapsulates the first season of Higurashi down to its essence. Literally, everything you must know is defined in crystal clear clarity, whether it be Rika's mask symbolism representing the fact that every character wears metaphorical masks to conceal their true natures, a glimpse at Rena's violent past, the Sonozaki twins in a fetal position, together and connected to one another by their fates headed towards inevitable tragedy, before ending with Satoko's empty-eyed trauma meant to contrast with initial impressions of her character, and Rena wielding her signature hatchet before switching to an overlooking view of Hinamizawa. The mysterious atmosphere, the imagery, the story that's told in this opening alone doesn't just hint at what Higurashi is about, kitty vickies. This opening is Higurashi. Carefully selected choices in imagery that contrast the light and sane side of Higurashi with the dark and twisted side, visual directing that conveys a near otherworldly tone of uncertainty and supernatural possibilities, the darkened, brutal, and broken portrayals of these otherwise harmless looking characters, that's all Higurashi. With every second that goes by in this opening, nothing feels right or feels clear and definitive. Traits that define the anime right down to the crows, the tried and true symbol of death that appear at the end. But this attention to tone and detail would be for naught if the song wasn't along with the ride, to which it fortunately is with the use of Higurashi no Naku Koro ni by Eiko Shimamiya, a song that, like the visuals, described the anime with its audio. A song that is part friendly and resonant, but hides a haunting grittiness, much in line with the anime in question. Dark electronic riffs complemented by synthesized drum beats and piano usage, which are all punctuated by Shimamiya's lively vocals that give it all a sense of power regardless of any vocal effects or not. It makes for a melody that has this unceasing atmosphere, every element bouncing between light and dark. A song sung with resonant vocals about hopelessness and paranoia in a world of darkness that traps and drives you toward your worst aspects, which sounds like Higurashi no Naku Koro ni. This opening is one of those things that's so well done that you could easily call it perfect. An opening where you can't find anything resembling flaws. So while it may not be my favorite anime opening, this is perfect for what the show is. But you know what other opening is so goddamn perfect? Of course, why wouldn't I put my favorite anime on here? Chobits still remains a weird anomaly where I do have my reasons for why I love it, but the reasons are so personal to my own sense of self that simply stating them won't be enough. The things about Chobits that connect with me are so ingrained, like a sort of symbiotic relationship. It's not like the anime itself is technically perfect either. The directing is competent, but not noteworthy. The filler content doesn't benefit much of anything. And yet, I can't type out a fully formed review. It just doesn't happen. There are all these other things that hit me so hard and continue to move me that I can't help but heed praise, and the opening is one of those things. The use of abstract ultramodern design patterns and digital mosaic blur transitions reflect what was then the still emerging modern technological age with continued developments of computers and the internet, while the color palette, though colorful, isn't so vibrant as to be happy-go-lucky, but rather to communicate a state of neutrality. Indeed, that's what the opening goes for. It's about two people who are trying to connect, but though they try, their efforts fail. They attempt to hold hands, but it doesn't reach, and they continue to stand separately until, finally, they turn around, look into the eyes of the other, and the colors and the mood of the scene go from a state of neutrality to being bright and hopeful, a light shining upon the couple as one sees the other for who they are. guitar, making one last push for a connection and succeed. The key word to describe the opening is elegance. Its simplicity gives way to sheer, tasteful elegance and communicates its story about two people who are different, so different that they might not be able to connect at all, but against the odds, manage to find a way to reach each other's hearts. The story of Chobits itself. It's handled brilliantly, and the song is a major reason why. When you've heard Let Me Be With You enough times, the act of hearing it for even a brief moment will have Chobits spring to mind. Reflecting the opening and the anime, the song, too, is about two people falling in love. The instrumental hook utilizing drums, the maraca, the violin, and mild guitar work along with vocals that can range from soft to harmonious. Each element is so in sync as to create this infectious rhythm that spreads like a plague. Mental candy that leaves a mark on your memory. This opening is what drew me into Chobits in the first place. This effectively made me stay up all night watching nothing but Chobits back then. And every time I rewatch an episode, I always watch this opening and let the feelings flow back to me. It's only weird then that this is number 2. This anime opening is my ideal opening, but it's not my favorite. It's one thing to be simple. To be so simple as to make the act of being flawless and elegant so easy as to be an expectation. When something is simple, it can be easy for it to have clarity, to be meaningful, to be great. But what about the things that carry ambition? The things that have so much riding on it that its failure is to be perceived as inevitable. But what if, by some chance, it defies the odds and sticks the landing? What if it actually managed to attain its lofty goals and reaped the rewards? It's one thing to be simple yet elegant, but it's another to be ambitious and powerful. Say what you will about the anime itself, I haven't experienced the novels, nor have I completely seen the show in years, but from the directing, to the pace, and to the song, it all coalesces into an opening that Umineko fans may well say is better than the anime itself, if the common word-of-mouth consensus is to be believed. Being the opposite of Chobits' simplistic opening, Umineko seeks to aggrandize itself as something mighty, a near unstoppable force comparable to a hurricane, to which it mostly succeeds thanks in no small part to the monolithic powerhouse that is Katayoku no Tori by Akiko Shikata. This song does a triple front flip off a 5-story building and, as if its entire body was superhuman, sticks the landing while shooting flames out of its mouth with its theatric orchestral flair, with vocals that are not only Japanese, but motherfucking Italian as well. Conveying a mixture of harmonies and powerfully executed notes, with Italian vocals that punctuate it all to near operatic proportions at each appropriate apex. This song blows my butthole wide open. Now, when it comes to the opening itself, this is where it sorta hits a wall. Instead of deliberately crafted pieces of symbolism that are showcased one by one, which culminate into combined meaning, Umineko's opening just sorta throws it all in there. Instead of, this represents how every character wears a mask that hide their true nature, this represents the unstable bond of the Sonozaki twins, and so on, Umineko goes, you have the island. The clocks are red and ticking. The golden butterflies are here because Beatrice represents the golden butterflies. Yeah, there are a lot of characters in here, so you better get used to it. And it doesn't really hit the same coherency of meaning. But as I said, Katayoku no Tori is what largely makes this opening. And though the visual elements of Umineko's opening don't weave a fully informative representation presentation, it makes up for it in its sense of scale and incite compelling force into this potentially supernatural mystery, and the directing involved in provoking this feeling is strong. The painting of Beatrice that the opening gradually reveals, with the golden butterflies flying and the flower petals floating upwards. The powerful Italian lyrics syncing with the appearances of the supporting cast. A shot of a shrine on top of a reef in the middle of a raging storm, cutting to Shannon's reaction, a glimpse at her motivation, and the mirror. It's all good stuff to see with this music, but the parts I dig most are the ones where it holds on a single moment, where it focuses on something and lets the music build and build the moment towards its climax. It breathes epicness, it drinks epicness, it eats epicness, it pisses epicness, and it shits epicness. Not only that, but this opening doesn't just have 2 variations. It has 4, which actually makes sense considering that this is a mystery anime where more elements are gradually introduced as the show goes on, and all use the same kick-ass song. Katayoku no Tori really is the secret sauce that makes Umaneko's opening pack the punch, and I suppose that alone makes the Chobits opening technically superior, but again, both have vastly different priorities. The fact that Umaneko's opening tries harder and manages to succeed, even if it doesn't succeed ideally, is enough to propel it to the head of the pack. So yeah, Chobits has the ideal opening for me, but Umaneko's opening is an achievement in of itself, and for that, it's my favorite opening in anime.